Chapter 5. In Aegir's kingdom, the vessel in which Siegfried sailed was soon far out at sea, for the balmy south wind and the songs of the birds and the music from Bragi's harp all urged it cheerily on. And Siegfried sat at the helm and guided it in its course. By and by they lost all sight of land, and the sailors wist not where they were, but they knew that Bragi, the wise, would bring them safely into some haven whenever it should so please him, and they felt no fear. And the fishes leaped up out of the water as the white ship sped by on woven wings, and the monsters of the deep paused, and listened to the sweet music which floated down from above. After a time the vessel began to meet great ice mountains in the sea, mountains which the Rhine and old Hoder, the king of the winter months, had sent, drifting down from the frozen land of the north. But these melted at the sound of Bragi's music, and at the sight of Siegfried's radiant armor. And the cold breath of the frost giants, which had driven them in their course, turned and became the ally of the south wind. At length they came in sight of a dark shore, which stretched on either hand, north and south, as far as the eye could reach. And as they drew nearer, they saw a line of huge mountains, rising, as it were, out of the water, and stretching their grey heads far above the clouds. And the overhanging cliffs seemed to look down, half in anger, half in pity, upon the little white-winged vessel which had dared thus to sail through these unknown waters. But the surface of the sea was smooth as glass, and the gentle breeze drove the ship slowly forwards through the calm water and along the rock-bound coast, and within the dark shadows of the mountain peaks. Long ago, the frost giants had piled great heaps of snow upon these peaks, and built huge fortresses of ice between, and sought, indeed, to clasp in their cold embrace the whole of the Norwegian land. But the breezes of the southland that came with Bragi's ship now played among the rocky steeps, and swept over the frozen slopes above, and melted the snow and ice, and thousands of rivulets of half-frozen water ran down the mountainsides, and tumbled into rocky gorges, or plunged into the sea. And the grass began to grow on the sunny slopes, and the flowers peeped up through the half-melted snow, and the music of spring was heard on every side. Now and then the little vessel passed by deep, dark inlets, enclosed between high mountain walls, and reaching many leagues far into land. But the sailors steered clear of these shadowy fjords, for they said that Rhine, the dread ocean queen, lived there, and spread her nets in the deep green waters to entangle unwary seafaring men. And the sound of Bragi's harp awakened all sleeping things, and it was carried from rock to rock, and from mountain height to valley, and was borne on the breeze far up the fjords, and all over the land. One day, as they were sailing through these quiet waters, beneath the overhanging cliffs, Bragi tuned his harp and sang a song of sea. And then he told Siegfried a story of Aegir and his gold-lit hall. Old Aegir was the ocean king. At most times he was rude and rough, and his manners were uncouth and boisterous. But when Balder, the Shining One, smiled kindly upon him from above, or when Bragi played his harp by the seashore, or sailed his ship on the waters, the heart of the bluff old king was touched with a kindly feeling, and he tried hard to curb his ungentle passions, and to cease his blustering ways. He was one of the old race of giants, and men believed that he would have been a very good and quiet giant, had it not been for the evil ways of his wife, the crafty Queen Rhine. For, however kind at heart the king might be, his good intentions were almost always thwarted by the queen. Rhine could never be trusted, and no one, unless it were Loki, the mischief-maker, could ever say anything in her praise. She was always lurking among hidden rocks, or in the deep sea, or along the shores of silent fjords, and reaching out with her long lean fingers, seeking to clutch in her greedy grasp whatever prey might unwarily come near her. And many richly laden vessels, and many brave seamen and daring warriors, had she dragged down to her blue-hung chamber in old Aegir's hall. And this is the story that Bragi told of.